the entry-level point for Hyundai's broadening SUV lineup is this car, the Bayon. It takes established engineering from the brand's i20 Super Mini and delivers it with the trendier crossover vibe that customers for small cars increasingly want. Plus, there's also the advantage of a more sophisticated and more spacious cabin than you'd get with a conventional small hatch. This is a much copied formula, of course, but this Hyundai delivers it with value and a class-leading warranty.
Set off in this Bayon, and the first thing that you notice is that everything's so light and easy to use. Primarily the electric steering, but also, if you've opted for manual transmission, the clutch and the gear shift action too. A DCT 7-speed automatic is optional. Either way, the transmission has to be mated to Hyundai's usual 1-litre TGDI petrol engine. It's available with either 100 PS or, as in this case, with 120 PS. This is a willing little 3-cylinder unit which goes about its business with plenty of pulling power and a cheerful 3-cylinder thrum. But to be frank, the benefits of the 48-volt mild hybrid technology are difficult to discern, both on the move and on the balance sheet. The WLTP returns you get from this engine in both its forms, 53.3 mpg and up to 119 grams per kilometre, aren't that much better than the readings you get in this class from non-electrified rivals. And quite a few of the gains that are being delivered here may actually be coming from the clever IMT, Intelligent Manual Transmission setup, which decouples the engine from the gearbox after the driver releases the accelerator and allows the car to coast for greater efficiency. Predictably, the Bayon's most at home in town thanks to the light steering and the easy manoeuvrability, although you'll feel harsher speed humps and tarmac tears. Beyond the city limits, speed through the turns, that steering rack doesn't really communicate back much of what's happening beneath the front wheels, but the slight firmness in the car's ride quality and the excellent body control still might encourage you to throw the thing about a bit if you were to be running late for your gym session or for the school pickup. Highway refinement is pretty well judged, although the little 3-cylinder engine's characteristically vibrant soundtrack will be very evident should short notice overtakes be required. For those, you'll have to have selected the most dynamic of the 3 available drive modes, which is Sport. There are 2 others available, Normal and Eco. Eye-catching design is a key component of modern Hyundai models. If you doubt that, then go and look at an Ioniq 5. Now, stylist Luke Donkervolker hasn't had quite as much fun here as he had with that car, but this Bayon is still quite a striking-looking thing with all its slashes, angles and attitude. The frontal face is defined by these independently positioned upper daytime running lights rather than the arrow-shaped 3-part headlights, which combine with the side air intakes. And from the side, well, this may theoretically be the smallest SUV in the company's range, but it's still 4.2 metres long. These dimensions are disguised by all manner of slashing and creasing to distract the eye. Notably, this dynamic shoulder line, which creates the wedge-shaped profile, the angular lines above the rear wheel arch, and the arrow-shaped C-pillar. We think the rear section is perhaps this car's most pleasing perspective. Arrow-shaped LED lights connected by a thin horizontal line. Time to see how adventurous Hyundai's been with design inside the cabin. Now, at first glance, there's not as much to catch the eye as there was outside when you greeted the car on first acquaintance, but start to look around, and this cabin, which is described by Hyundai as a modern digital interior, might start to grow on you, providing, of course, your expectations come aligned with this Bayon's relatively affordable asking fee. It's certainly very digital. You might not expect to get a configurable full-width instrument display included at this price point, and the level of provided central screen media connectivity also sets the segment standard. Everything is borrowed directly from the brand's i20 Super Mini. That includes the seating position, which, although it is a fraction higher, it's certainly not SUV-like. You might also have hoped for something a bit trendier than this rather dour, dark, hard plastic interior trim, but it is solidly fashioned, and there are a few interesting touches. The weirdly spoked steering wheel, for example, the smart cross-hatched seat trim, and the serrated flashing around the door catches too. Cabin practicality is reasonable. There's a big glove box and there are properly sized cup holders here next to this, thankfully, manual handbrake. Right, time to take a seat in the rear. Now the doors open nice and wide. And once inside, you'll find that this Hyundai has as much space for legs and knees in the back as you could reasonably expect in the class. Headroom isn't quite so noteworthy thanks to that tapering rear roofline, but you'd need to be over 6 feet tall to have a real problem. And the relatively wide exterior width and the low central transmission tunnel here means that it is reasonably realistic to take a trio of passengers back here if you absolutely had to, although this raised central cushion won't do a great deal for the comfort of the middle occupant. Let's finish this section with a look at the boot. Lift the hatch and you're greeted with one of the more accommodating areas in the segment. 411 litres in size, that's 37 litres more than the Kona and 59 litres more than you'll get with the i20 Super Mini this car's based on. Now one day makers of small SUVs will offer the flexibility of either a ski hatch or a 40-20-40 seatback split, but that day hasn't yet come, so there's just this conventional 60-40 split backrest which lowers to reveal a 1205 litre total capacity. Overall, the Bayon manages to make good use of its Super Mini underpinnings and engineering while remaining very much its own car. We'd certainly expect it to outsell the i20 model it's based on. There's just enough design flair here to satisfy this SUV's fashion-orientated target audience and to keep pace with an increasingly talented set of rivals. Whether all that will be sufficient for long-term success in this rapidly evolving segment, it'll be interesting to see.